Let's go on the way on top of our card info view controller. I'm going to create a protocol here. And the name of the protocol, by default, we select the name of the class that it has, and then we put a delegate. And we're going to have one function here, say func, and we say did click done, and we're going to pass a token here. This is going to be type of STP token. Let me just put, actually let's put another function here. So in case if we press a cancel, we want to notify our user about this. Say did click cancel. And here we are not going to pass any parameters. So these are the two required functions for our delegate. So whoever set itself as a delegate of our card info view controller is going to implement the two functions here. But for now, we cannot use this really because we need to write a variable that is going to be the delegate. So we say var delegate, and this is type of card info view controller delegate. And we put this as an optional because this may not have a delegate, so we are going to set this. And once we click on our done button, it will process the card. And here, instead of just printing the token, what we want to do is to inform our delegate, whichever view it is, that our user has clicked done and we have got the token, and here is the token. So we will say self.delegate, and we're using self keyword because we are inside a closure here which runs in the background. And then we say did click done, and the token, I'm going to pass my token here, and I can unwrap this because if we have no errors, it means our token was provided as properly. And once we do this, we want to dismiss our view. So I say self dismiss the view. And for our cancel button, cancel view, let me go to my cancel button. I'm going to say delegate dot, and then we just say did click cancel. Right, so every time now we do something on our view here, our delegate, whichever function or class it is, will be notified of our action. So if we go to our basket, here we are presenting our view. What we need to say is that vc.delegate, and this doesn't autocomplete if I click build, delegate is equals to self, because this is a type of card info view controller, and we know that we have here this variable called delegate, and we can set the value of this, and in our case this is our basket view controller. And now it complains that we cannot assign value of basket view controller because basically we are not conforming to the protocols that are required to conform to this protocol. So I'm going to at the bottom here, and we're going to conform first to the delegate and then to implement our protocols. Say extension, and we're going to conform to card payment view controller delegate. And now our top error will disappear, and we will have two errors, one error here, and by clicking fix it will add two required functions here. Let me just remove the empty lines. So let's test if this is working. I'm say print, we have a token, and let's pass our token, and did cancel, say print, we say user cancelled the payment. So let's run and test if this is working. Go to our checkout, pay with card, and let me first cancel. And says user cancel the payment, which is working. And then let's try to process it. And click done. And it says we have a token, and it just provides our token here, which is fantastic. This is what we expected to do. And now let's get rid of our print statement, and instead for our cancel I'm going to say show notification. The text is going to be payment cancelled, and is error is going to be true. And in order to process our payment, if we get our token, I'm going to call a function finish payment. And now that this function requires a token, remember when we wrote it together, we're going to pass this token here. And let's jump to this function and just go over it one more time. So this function takes a token, which is basically the card information squeezed in some kind of string, which is our token. Then we are going to go through all the items in our basket and get the prices, add to multiply, so we have all the items in one price, so we have a total price here. After that we are going to convert our total price into cents, because this is what our Stripe accepts, not real currency numbers but cents. Then we access our Stripe client, which is our class model here, and we call the function create and confirm payment. And here we are passing our token, which has a spelling mistake. It should be token. Let's fix this, and we need to fix it here as well. So once we pass our token and the amount, which is our total price, we can process the payment, and this is just a callback. So if we jump to this function here, this is now going to contact our backend. Basically, it takes the URL, adds something to it, which we are going to declare in our backend, and then it just sends these parameters through a HTTP call. And this is where Aloma Fire comes in, which will generate the HTTP call post method to the URL, and we're going to pass our parameters that we created, which is the token, the amount, the currency, and description in our case. And we just wait for the response from our backend if it was successful or no. And if it was successful, we're going to provide information back to our user. Actually, I'm going to remove the print statement from here because we're calling our callback. And instead, the errors will be handled on the side of our user here, which we are going to provide notification. So I'm going to also say self.show notification, and the text we can have as our error localized description. And is error is going to be true. So let's run our application one more time. Now it's going to give us an error because there is basically no backend available. But let's just sake of it test it out. Let me just delete everything in my console so we can clearly see what's going on there. I'm going to pass the card information and delete one more time. Just click done. It says fatal error file user, and then we go to our Stripe Swift, and this is where our application stops, because our base URL, we couldn't create this URL here because we couldn't pass this information, which is our extra charge here. So let me just go to my base URL and see if I have it there. Constants. So we have our base URL, and where we are, Stripe client. And the reason it crashed is because we didn't set our base URL string here. So by default, it's nil, and then it access here to pass the information, and we didn't have it. So it was nil, that's why it's throwing our fatal error. But remember, we added this base URL constant here, but we are not using this anywhere. So where we are going to use it is in our app delegate. As soon as we initialize our Stripe, we want to access our Stripe client dot shared dot base URL string is going to be equals to our constant dot base URL string. So if I rerun my application now, since our base URL will be set here, we're not going to go to our fatal error there. So again, go to our card processing 42424242, click done, and says the resource could not be, okay, it just went away because we have it for 2 seconds, but luckily we are printing on our console. The resource couldn't be loaded because the app transport security policy requires the user for secure connection. All right, this is another thing we need to do before we can work with our backend. And the reason it gives us an error is because in our info.plist, we haven't specified that we are going to allow non-secure transactions, and non-secure, what I mean is HTTP and not HTTPS, because we are running on a local host here. We cannot access it through HTTPS, which is the secure. We need to write app security, app transport security settings. So once you add this, you click on the triangle here and click on the plus button, and then you say allow arbitrary loads, click enter, and by default it's no. We are going to put it yes. So then when you have it yes, you can do posts to non-HTTPS domains or links. So let's do one more run. And going to our basket, checkout, pay card. Okay, let's just delete this and click done. It says could not connect to the server. So finally everything goes as planned and says error could not connect to server. So on our front end, right now everything is working. The only issue is that we don't have our backend and we cannot connect to it. So in our next lecture, we are going to work on our backend.